Oh, happy Monday, Monday, Monday. I got Monday on my mind, Coach Kyle Evans. How you feeling today, brother?
Man, I'm feeling good, dude. This is a live show, so we like to kind of just spew the thoughts as they come. Guys, we have a backstage thing in this technology, this podcast technology. And while you're watching the intro, I can see Marcus and I am just uncomfortably now aware this Monday morning of my dadness. Because I was doing this move to the music, Marcus. I'm just going to tattle on myself here.
Oh yeah.
Look how awkward that is. Like,
Oh,
this is what I look like? Like, oh my God.
you
So
talk about you talk about that. I was called out at Home Depot because I was sitting there on my phone researching the tool that I needed, right? And I'm just doing this. That's all I'm doing, right? Just back and forth, like rocking that 14-month-old baby girl of mine, man. I didn't even know I was doing it. Good Monday morning, everybody. We trust you had an amazing weekend. We are excited for the week ahead. We'll break it down for you so you can just kind of have an agenda in your mind on when you can join in and what to expect. Today, we're going to be diving into mindset. We got a couple things we're going to show you, just a first perception and to kind of take it in and to kind of right the ship, depending on where you are today, or to increase that focus if you are already dialed in. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, Kyle, we've got some guests. And I'm not talking about just any guests. We've got some guests. Why don't you break down the names real fast for them?
yeah, man. Assuming nothing happens, right? I hate to say this because you never know with life, but we're going to do it anyway. Roll these dice. Tomorrow, Jen Davis, former VP of Maps, huge mega agent, one of the probably Hall of Fame buyer's agents in real estate, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Wednesday, we have the legendary Steve Schleter, OG pillar of KW, going to be coming in here and talking about some skill sets, some tactics to help love on that database. Thursday, we have Tim Bodwin, former director of growth for Maps, just a huge all-around leadership coach, been doing this song and dance for a couple decades now. Tattling on you, Tim, how old you are. I got you though, buddy. Wealth and knowledge. And then Friday, me and Marcus are going to tie a bow on the week. You know how we do, guys. So it should be a very fun week, Marcus.
It will be fun, productive, insightful, and man, this is just like an appetizer for what is going to be offered at Family Reunion. So if you don't have your ticket yet, jump in. The water's warm. I promise you, you're going to get amazing value from it. Speaking of Monday, though, mindset, focus, 90% of our business is mindset. I kind of broke this down on a team meeting that I had on Friday, and it's amazing, buddy. I think there's assumptive thinking from time to time,
Sure.
from leaders, from megas, from this, that, and the other. And this is the kind of market where you check in on your strong friends, because we had a great meeting. And of course, I've got new agents or agents who've never seen a shift. They're all raising their hand and saying, "Yeah, this is great." Da, da, da. And then all of a sudden, I got my megas, and they're raising their hand and saying, "Last year was real tough. I'm struggling with this. I'm kind of in a funk in my mind." And it's amazing to me that no matter what kind of market that we're in, we always have room for growth. And that is why, guys, we are always dialed in on your mindset and protecting that. Because if we can protect you here, that protects your wallet, that protects your relationships and your business. So, Kyle, when you think about having a perception, or always having a good perspective, I should say, on life, we've got a few pictures that kind of jolted our thinking of like, oh man, it's basic, and yet whenever there's a visual aid, it always helps me put together the pieces in my mind a little bit better. Why don't we show the first one, bud, and let's talk about it a little bit.
When you set a priority versus when you don't set a priority. You see a Google map here or Apple Maps, whatever your favorite GPS setting is here, guys. One is a simple destination that I know I'm headed to. I know my priority. I know my end target. And the other, Marcus, is probably how a lot of agents spend their mornings and spend their days here in real estate, a bajillion priorities.
Yeah. And I think though, I think the one on the right, guys, I think a lot of times people use the word like, you got, the ADD thing going. I can't focus, or man, I just got so many irons in the fire. Man, I've got this, that, and the other. I don't know if any of those are always true. I'm sure they pop up from time to time. And yet, is it because of your lack of ability to focus on something, or is it that you just simply haven't decided one thing to focus on? And when you don't have one kind of thing drawing you, one thing that you were driving for and fully passionate about, then you'll just be looking for everything. Again, oh man, I always go back. We always give him a shout out. David Bernal, his value system and his ability to say yes or no to opportunities left and right is because he is dialed in on one destination. And if this is an exit ramp, well, is that exit ramp tied to a highway still headed that way, or is that detouring me off of my path? And
Mhm.
like that, man, has really given me pause. And I saw this on Friday. And funny enough, we're fully vulnerable and I always tell the truth on here as far as our personal growth. Me and my wife, with the move and everything, we've kind of been gloomy, right? A new routine, a new house that's not ours, the rental, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we allowed ourselves to get a little gloomy. And it's not that we're fighting or anything of that nature. We're just kind of autopilot,
Mhm.
for a better term. Right now at work, it's been killer, right? And yet in personal, which is the more important life, kind of gloomy and ugh. So we had a sit down and we said, you know what? I think we're losing sight on what we're truly focused on. What do we want to accomplish this year, this month, whatever it may be? And man, that sit down took about 2 hours. We got that opportunity, and from there, we woke up with so much more energy, so much more direction and drive and focus. It's already life changing in this short little window. And we both kind of text each other after saying, "Man, I got a pep in my step for the first time in a long time." It's amazing what focus will do.
It's almost like Marcus, the old bold law, clarity is power, ladies and gentlemen. If you
Pretty solid.
don't know where you're going, it's very hard to get there.
Yeah. And this is where I remind everybody, we don't get on here to tell y'all how to live like us. Okay. That is not what we're here to do. We're here to be open, and we're here to allow you to see some of our imperfections and failing forward opportunities so that maybe you give yourself a little bit of grace back out there as well and know that you're not alone. My goodness, you never will be. Kyle, what's up next, Bubba?
Boom! Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Jeez Louise, this is a good one for you guys.
Me and you are doing this right now sometimes, aren't we? We really have to check ourselves as we grow this expansion team, don't we?
Of course, man. It's very easy to slip into this, guys. Do not compare your chapter 1, your chapter 5 to somebody's 10-year, 15-year, 20-year chapter 20, guys. It's that simple and it's that hard. We fall into the comparison game where somehow, some way, we're looking at someone else's life, someone else's business, someone else's growth, and judging our own. It's beneficial when we're judging to get better, right? We're spotting
Mhm.
holes. What can I do? Hey, where's a model or a system? Like that's okay. But judging to degrade yourself, shame yourself, and feel less than, that's a problem.
Couldn't agree more, man. I'm reminded. His name is Brian Gleason. He's a very good friend, a very, very intelligent human being, and he was the CEO of a company, global company, for several years. They were purchased out, and he and I were able to sit down before we left Nashville, and we were eating dinner. You know, I kind of, he's always been my mentor, somebody I rely on. And I'm telling him, a little bit about my frustration with the speed of success and maybe where we are versus where I'd hoped we would be and blah, blah, blah. And he looked at me, and this is a gentleman who everyone on this call would be like, wow, that is success. Like
Mhm.
every aspect of it is marriage, financials, everything. And he looked at me, and he was like, do you want to know where I was at your age? And he broke it down. And he said, how do you feel now? He goes, and he literally said, don't judge my today without thinking about my 20 years ago. Because the only reason I'm here today is because of the decisions I made 20 years ago. And you're already making them. Or if you're not making them, you can start right now. And
Yeah.
man, it just gave me so much reprieve and so much peace knowing don't have to be at chapter 20 right now just because I'm looking at his. I can just take my steps and focus.
Yeah, man. I was catching up with my mama this
Ooh,
weekend.
what up, Mom?
Yeah, bro. Shout out, mom. And she kind of said the same thing. I don't know. We were just talking about business, coaching, speaking, all the stuff. And I was like, I understand that it takes time and I just wish it would happen faster. And she was like, you have lost your mind. Do you know, like, in the grand scope of life, like how long you've been doing this stuff? Like a minute.
Right.
in the grand scheme. And this is when I tell people all the time, and I work to tell myself, if you're 50, 50, it's not too late. You could still work a 20-year career and
Yes.
retire at 70.
Yes. And
Like,
what a fun 20 years that would be.
for
Like,
real.
you're dialed in on who you are. You're dialed in on where you want to go, right? And your focus is there. Like, how cool, man. Yeah. Age has nothing to do with your next step. And just like Gary says, you can be the absolute best 5 years from today. Not
That's
everyone will you? And I love that charge. What's up, Bubba? What's next? Oh, there it is. Take a look. On the piggy bank, yeah, putting money in the account's great. That'll build wealth. Also, investing in yourself builds wealth as well. We had Mark King in Connecticut about 2 weeks ago, and there were two things, like kind of real quick one-liners that I took away from it. And he said, ego is the most expensive line item on a P&L. And
oh,
right, take that in. Ego is the most expensive line item on a P&L. And then he also says the most wealthy and successful people out there spend time studying and in wealth building activities. So he said spend 1 hour per week just learning about wealth, marinating on what you're doing with your money, where it's going, where it's coming from, organizing it, creating a charge for where you want to invest. Spend 1 hour a week, and then from there, then make it 2, and then maybe it expands to 3. And he said the more time you spend in it, obviously, the better you'll get. And yet, it's creating momentum first. Learn more about it, and then when you get fascinated and excited about it, then you'll jump in more. And it's a basic thing. And yet, when's the last time that you set a calendar for yourself to look at your finances and to track your money? No judgment, just curiosity. And if you haven't, what is your first step? Make that step today, because your finances are wildly important.
just like anything, man, our life goes where our focus flows, right? So if we're looking to grow in something, put some focus on it. If we're
Hmm.
looking to pay off some debt, put some focus on it. And just like we said before, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. If you want to be wealthy and you're starting at chapter 1, okay, be cool with that. And guess what? Over time, without ego, like Marcus said, being the most expensive line item on your P&L, your profit and loss statement, over time, it'll grow into your chapter 20 or your happily ever after, said another way.
Hmm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Love it. Up next. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones right here. It's one of my favorite ones. On the left-hand side, failure is bad. Failure is something we should avoid. Failure, there's nothing good but failure that comes out of it. On the right-hand side, it breaks it down like we just do in Onward Bold. Shout out Gary Keller and the entire writing team. Failure, ladies and gentlemen, is a strategy if you so choose to make it that way. Failure is a strategy because with failure comes all those lessons on what went well, where you can improve, how you can be more resilient, more focused, maybe more attentive in certain arenas. All if you analyze your failures even more than your successes, man, oh man, your growth is exponential.
Yeah, man, I tell people this all the time. I fail a lot.
I hope I fail every week.
A lot,
Yeah.
guys. A lot. And here's where I started to learn this about failure and take it in to the heart is we really have to think that not everyone's perfect, man. We're going to trip, we're going to fall. And I have this idea that I've been fleshing out. Now I'll share you some of my content I'm working on here. It's the graveyard of dreams. All right. The graveyard of dreams. Guys, in the graveyard of dreams are people who tried once, twice, maybe 5 times and gave up.
Hmm.
And that's where their dream died. Inside of the graveyard of dreams are people who thought failure means stop.
I love
Inside, oh, dude, inside the graveyard of dreams, and here's the last one, people who fear judgment more than progress.
I think that's one thing that we're going to see in another visual aid is maybe your perception of how many people are thinking about you, or maybe the moves that you make, depending on how many people you think may judge you. I gotta say, man, Kyle, let's have a little fun real quick. Just think about your crew from your graduating high school class. All right, let's have a little fun there. I'm not saying the whole class. I'm just saying acquaintances, your close knit friends, like the whole thing. Be very vulnerable and very honest with me for a second. Let's say the top 20 people that come to mind out of that entire group. How many of those people do you think about literally every day? Exactly.
Zero.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So, guys, sometimes I fear that we are not doing things because we fear the judgment of people that we think are thinking about us that may not be so much. And it's a little bit of ego trip right there. And yet, man, what if you just did what you wanted to do? Did what you desired in this life? And I always go back in this moment to the 5 regrets of the dying.
Yeah.
And one of the very top ones is living a life of no regrets, and one that you wanted to live, not one that was put upon you. Go do that thing, guys. You're strong enough. You're smart enough. You're talented enough. Go do that thing. And don't worry about what anybody else has to say.
Speaking of go do that one thing, Marcus.
Yes, sir. Oh, look at it. But Kyle, I can do FISBOs, I can do expireds, I can do direct mail, I can do open houses, and I can do circle prospecting all at one time, and I'll be amazing at all of it. What do you think, Kyle? What do you think, Coach? I can do it.
That sounds great. Master of none, jack of all trades.
The top gives fulfillment, direction, and energy. The bottom, trying to do it all, leads to confusion, exhaustion, burnout, and the classic, I gave real estate a shot. I gave it a try, right? Or at least I tried. That's what I see on the bottom of that graphic right there. And you don't need to do all the things. Just pick
one.
Give
a sports reference here, buddy.
Do.
Yay sports to my people out there. Michael Jordan, he is debatably one of the best, basketball players of all time, in my opinion. He is. Sorry, it's not really much of a debate. And do you remember his baseball career?
I do. I don't want to talk about it, but I do.
You can do anything, ladies and gentlemen, but you can't do everything.
Right.
You can do everything, but you're not going to do it well. Okay. You can do anything. What is the one thing, maybe 2 tops, that you were going to build your business on, that you were going to lean into and make the strongest you possibly can? I've said this more times than I can count. I am the type of person who figures out their strengths and their weaknesses and goes all in on the strengths to make them as great as possible. And then I leverage off the weaknesses. I do not want to spend my time, my energy, building up a weakness to barely mediocre when I can go ahead and take a strength from great to epic.
Oh, great to epic. Yes, sir. Let's go be epic today and focus on that one thing versus feeling like you're part of this culture that we've created somehow of a hustle culture of, you've got an hour free. Well, why aren't you working? Right. Mm-hmm. Oh, you just put in 25, 30 hours last week. That's cute. I did 60. Like, why? If you do one thing and exceptionally well and you focus on that one craft, hey, Jordan Freed is an absolute perfect example of this. In fact, in our pre-show last week before Jordan came on, he told Kyle and I that he has stopped reading real estate books. He stopped reading them. He has solely focused on psychological books and the study of psychology, because remember, he's earned that. He's put in 10,000 plus hours of coaching around real estate. Now he's wanting to know the people and know how our brains work, how our minds work, and where he can meet them and bring this coaching in. He focused on one thing solely. And now that is done, he can put that here and focus on the next thing solely. And yet they are married together. That's a perfect example. How much are you focusing on? How many things? What if we eliminated 3, 4, 5 different things off your plate and we just went to one? What would your day look like? What would your success look like?
Marcus, wild stuff this morning, buddy. Guys, last and certainly not least, boom, listening to respond versus listening to understand. When we listen to respond, the information, the knowledge, the connection washes right over us. We do not absorb it. When we listen to understand, we are paying attention to what that person means. And when we do that, the relationship invariably deepens.
Mm-hmm.
Harvard did a study, and they found that people would rather be understood than be right. They would rather you understand where I'm coming from, understand what I mean, understand my frustration, understand my purpose, my passion, whatever, over it being the right answer.
Well, there's a lot of different ways I could take that. And yes, that shows the importance of connection, right? On the left-hand side, when the water was coming down on that brick, that's calling to transact versus on the sponge, which is calling to connect. And I think that visual aid kind of tells you when you deepen that connection with anybody, not just business, your personal life, your friends, your family, whatever it may be, when you deepen that connection, it allows, honestly, man, it allows for a more fulfilling, relationship, but also a more fulfilling day, more fulfilling moment in that conversation. I don't know about you, man. Every once in a while, I find myself really frustrated and kind of bored with the repeatable conversations.
Oh God.
Right. The same questions that, hey, how are you? How's the family? Right. Let me get to know something about you. Let's have moments and really deepen our next step, because here's the unfortunate thing. A lot of people that you interact with, you don't get a lot of time with. Everybody's busy. Everybody has their own lives. So how can you make those moments really powerful and meaningful? And maybe we take another little excerpt from the Jordan Freed interview, and let's put some questions together. He wrote down thousands and thousands of questions to be better at them. And questions are only good as the state in which they are asked. That's what he said to us last week. So are you asking for commissions? Are you asking for a transaction? Or are you asking to actually get to know them, to care about them, and to understand that they need to feel heard? Requires patience.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, happy Monday. This is
Woo!
just your daily checkup from the neck up with Marcus and Kyle. Man, I trust that you guys got some things from this, and I trust that you will take at least one and focus on carrying it with you this week, whether that means more meditation time, whether that means journaling around it, whether that means writing a one quick liner and putting it up on a sticky note right where you do business and right where you work, just so you can start to really bring it into your focus. Marcus, any final thoughts for the people today, brother?
Hey, it's Monday, baby. Let's get to work. Let's get going. You make this week a winning week. Whatever winning looks like, make it. It starts today. Let's get going. We trust that this gave you a little energy, a little checkup from the neck up, and we're excited to see you tomorrow. We're rooting for you. Go have fun today. See y'all.